Hey guys, Omni here. So I saw this video the other day and I really wanted to react to it, but I just hadn't had the time. I finally have an opportunity to dive into this. And it is, of course, New Rockstar's breakdown of the Easter eggs and details you might have missed in Mortal Kombat 2021. As I mentioned in my review, if you haven't seen it, there were a plethora of Easter eggs and nuggets that I saw just in my initial watch through the film, and even more that I picked up in my second watch, because I decided to watch the movie twice before I said anything in my review. I have mixed feelings on the movie overall. I still prefer the 95 version. I'll just say that up front. But one thing I can at least commend this movie for above all else is its love for the source material. There are so many long stretch reach references to the Mortal Kombat universe in the film that it was a lot of fun to watch through it and just see oh, I recognize that thing. I know what that is. I know who you are. There was a lot of these moments throughout the movie, and it did make it fun. The people that made this movie were fans. The people that wrote this movie were definitely fans, and it shows. This was high budget fan fiction come to life, and in that I gotta honor and respect it. Overall, I still, like I said, I'm a bigger fan of the 95 one, even despite the rated R and all of the fun little nuggets here and there. I think it was a more authentic adaptation, to be honest. So we'll see, because if they get a sequel, we'll be getting into more familiar territory, and who knows, my tune could change when that comes around. But let's go ahead and see what all Eric Voss over at New Rockstars has found in the movie that I might have missed. I'll call out the ones that he mentions if I did catch it myself, as well as see if there's any he caught that I didn't, and vice versa. So let's go ahead and pull this thing up, and here we go.
Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Eric Voss, and Mortal Kombat delivered the violent delights and campy fan service I expected as a past too young player of this game. Who, like Liu Kang in this movie, I really only knew how to sweep the leg while my big brother used the famous
God, I love that.
real-life shoulder punch. It still kind of hurts. So I'm going to break down all the cool visual details and references to the games hidden throughout this film. Spoilers ahead, and here we go.
And I think you would really get that reference unless you were somebody who played the games a lot.
1617. Now, playing Hanzo in this movie is the legendary Hiroyuki Sanada, famous for many roles,
yes,
but Marvel fans might know him as Akihiko in Avengers Endgame. These opening images focus very much on the gardening trowel used by Hanzo's wife Harumi. This is actually called a kunai, a multi-purpose tool for farming and masonry, but also one associated with ninjas, as it's more lightweight than the larger, more regulated weapons, and useful for gouging holes in walls for climbing. This whole functionality is key to Hanzo and his whole bloodline. As he rushes to be Han's men, he drops the water buckets. That was the
element which brings life
of Sub-Zero in the 1995 film, if you remember, just to signal to us.
Should have brought it with him, man. He might have been fine.
In this movie, as Hanzo instead combines the kunai with rope to construct his iconic weapon. That rope lives on as a symbolic lifeline tethering Hanzo to his future descendants, with Cole Young and his daughter sharing corded bracelets in the scorpion colors of yellow and black. And later, when Cole fights Goro, he too uses a tool from a barn drawn from a bundle of rope. And when Cole's Arcana finally activates, it extends from his daughter's bracelet. All the ropes are connected. And then, of course, Bi-Han, future Sub-Zero, played by Joe,
the Shirayu's true legacy,
star known for the
ropes.
Raid and Fast and Furious 6. This whole opening attack on the compound is very similar to the opening of the animated film.
Gosh, if you hadn't seen that movie, watch it.
Revenge. And here, the action and gore is really well choreographed. First, with the blood of the guards squirting upward as the sword goes through his body until it explodes at the neck right when it hits the jugular, and then later the blood seeping out of Bi-Han's knuckles as that ice breaks his skin, kind of like Wolverine's claws. And then, of course, the freaking ballet that Hanzo performs with the roped kunai. I love this detail, how Bi-Han at first dodges it, but doesn't think to dodge it when Hanzo retracts it, scarring his cheek. But then later in their final fight, Sub-Zero shows that he has spent hundreds of years thinking about that one mistake, so that when Scorpion tries to pull the same move again, this time he catches it. But back in the past, Bi-Han leaves Hanzo for dead, and his dragon marking fades from his arm as the flames claim his body, leaving this outline of ash, similar to the way Scorpion will leave Sub-Zero at the end of this movie. Then Lord Raiden, played by Tadanobu Asano, longtime actor known by Marvel fans as Hogun from Thor Ragnarok, rescues Hanzo's infant child, saving this bloodline that eventually leads to our hero Cole Young, played by Louis Tan. He continues to don his ancestral colors with yellow tape around his fists, black and yellow shorts, a black and yellow gym bag strap. He loses the fight by failing to listen to his daughter.
Yeah, I noticed the hand wraps, but that was
She
it.
actually yells the same advice to him later when he's fighting Goro. And because he listens this time, he's able to get us
Another key move for the old school games, man.
Shang Tsung, summoning Bi-Han, now Sub-Zero, to assassinate the champions of Earthrealm. While Bi-Han is generally seen in blue, they use darker tones for his costume here as a nod to Bi-Han's noob Cybot form. And Cole meets Jax.
Cole Young, the man that took the belt from Eddie Tobias.
Ed Boon and
is
Tobias.
A nod to Mortal Kombat game creators Ed Boon and John Tobias.
Yep.
Jax also tells him,
Could have won today had you controlled the cage.
strategically, this is what Cole applies to the final battle, using Raiden's ability to teleport them anywhere to control their own turf. Also, you could see it as a nod to the final scene where Cole heads to Hollywood to find the cage. Jax asks about Cole's marking here.
Where'd you get it from?
He was born with it.
What do you mean?
It's a birthmark.
Notice that this dialogue was reversed from its order
Right.
in the trailer when
It was
sounded
so
like Jax
awkward.
didn't understand the concept of a birthmark.
It's a birthmark.
What do you mean?
He was born with it.
God, that
Solid
was
fix there.
such
So
a bad
Sub-Zero
edit.
attacks Cole and his family, and Jax lets them escape while he faces Sub-Zero. And in the
So
background,
badass,
in the
man.
graffiti,
Get him,
I love
Jimmy
this. It
Olsen.
reads downright plus
Yes!
LP, as in
I caught that
downright
the
low
second
punch.
time through.
That's how you do Sub-Zero's freeze
Yes.
attack in the game, and this is the same move that Sub-Zero does on Jax. And as he freezes Jax's
Well,
arms,
I
you
mean,
can actually
kinda.
see blood bursting from each of his wrist
He only
joints,
really
and then
shoots
his
an ice
elbow
blast
joints,
once
showing
in the
how
movie.
bone by bone his arms are breaking under the ice before both are ripped off at the shoulder. Back in the Outworld, Melina shows up, reporting to Shang Tsung.
Melina, let's finish this.
Yeah, he loves telling people to finish. Of course, a nod to his line, finish him, in the game. And he decides to send the reptilian Sizoth, using the name versions of Reptile from the game call themselves. Sonya Blade has a classic movie crazy research wall, which is now pretty beyond trope.
There's a
Let's
bunch
stop
of shit
putting
on
these
there,
in
though.
Movies, Hollywood. But anyway, it documents the history of gods and warriors. Most of it is real world history stuff, but it does have parallels with characters from the Mortal Kombat games. Like there's this image of the Aztec sun god, which you can see as a nod to Kukulkan,
Yeah.
the former Outworld emperor based on Mayan and Aztec mythology. There's an article
Caught that
about
one.
a Toga warrior, a nod to
Nightwolf.
Nightwolf, who you'll know from Annihilation and the other games.
Unfortunately.
There's a vase with a centaur that you could see as
Motaro.
a Motaro in the games. There's also this image showing a cracked skull.
And
that maybe could
Motaro
be on
right
the
there.
visual of when
Wasn't
the
that?
X-ray vision shows the attacks as the bones break. But we meet this movie's comic relief, Kano, who ends up
All right,
being
so
the
far,
one to
I'm-
defeat Reptile.
I'm solid aside from the backpack and
Yeah,
shorts.
this heart rip and the line, of course, directly out of the game. And then Kano spits on this gnome, marking it for Sonya later when she uses it to stab him through the eye. As Kano leads them to Raiden's temple, he struggles to work his GPS. It's actually pretty similar to the way in the 95 film that Sonya's compass doesn't really work due to that island's mysterious magnetism. But they're found by Liu Kang, who leads them into the temple past these murals depicting past champions, including the great Kung Lao, ancestor to this movie's Kung
Oh, that's
Lao,
who that was
the hooded
supposed to be?
Delia with her husband Argus, Goro ripping a dude in half, and Outworld Emperor Shao Kahn. And when Cole sees the painting of the fight between Hanzo and Bi-Han, he experiences another vision. Yeah, you can barely make out Scorpion's voice through the fire saying, "Unleash me." As
Oh, I
the
never even
Romans
heard
coat
that.
The blade handle, foreshadowing the visual of Cole's armor. It's interesting that he's speaking English here, right? I'm thinking when these warriors become these kind of demonic figures.
And why was
perhaps
that
their
muralized
language changes
even
from
though,
their
like,
native
in the
Japanese
Hall
or
of
Mandarin
Champions
to the
when
English
that wasn't a
Cole uses
sanctioned
it as,
actual
which might also explain
tournament
the,
fight?
"Get over here." Kano tries to steal the Amulet of
Shinnok.
This is one of the most powerful items in the Mortal Kombat universe, used by Shinnok when he and the other Elder Gods waged war against the one being, it enhances the wielder's powers drastically, which might give Kano a way he could be resurrected in a future film, since I don't think we actually saw him put it back after Liu Kang told him to. Also nearby is this blue fan, probably the steel fan of Kitana, who was also a no-show in this film, but will probably appear in the next one. Hey, you know, I'm someone who's got a lot of things going on at the same time. I'm a bit of a multitasker, and so
I smell a reed.
And thanks to the Element Sonic toothbrush from Vanity, be automatically applied at checkout if you use our link. Brush those teeth! Sub-Zero attacks Liu Kang, but Kung Lao saves him using his signature hat throw, and then he pops up from under it with his ground teleport move. And then Shang Tsung says,
But their souls are mine.
Which is what he always says after he sucks out someone's soul, as he does to Kung Lao later. Here in the fighting pit, Kung Lao tells Cole,
all you can do now is test your might.
Test your might.
It's the name of the minigame from the Mortal Kombat series, also a line in the awesome 1995 Mortal Kombat Techno Syndrome track. Liu Kang spars with Kano, sweeping the leg.
Yeah.
Real cute. Let's see.
Fucking spammer.
That's the only move you know, mate.
Yeah, sweeping the leg. The classic maddening shit move that I totally do against my older brother, because I really sucked at this
Anytime
game.
I felt like being a little shithead, I would definitely do that.
Anything. I'm still not really good at
that, or just the endless flying kicks.
Hey, but props to Kano for that vertical jump there, which is really the other move I would just do on repeat when I didn't know what else to do. Liu Kang tells Cole about his old master Bo Rai Cho, a character from the games Master of the Drunken Fist, and a playable character in Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance, Deception Armageddon, and Mortal Kombat 10. At dinner time, Kano's rage activates his Arcana, his eye laser ability. Notice afterwards how Kung Lao is smiling a little bit, revealing that this insulting Kano was all part of his plan to invoke Kano's Arcana. We meet other Outworld champions, including the Hunter Nitara,
at least that was how I
General
read
Reiko, it. Cabal, and of course Goro. Now, Cabal is voiced by Damon Harriman, who played Charles Manson in both Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and Mindhunter on Netflix. So Nitara doesn't last long. Kung Lao uses another game, turning his hat sideways into this buzzsaw, splitting her in half.
Flawless victory.
Yes, flawless victory, what you hear when one fighter beats the other without taking any hits, which Kung Lao actually does here if you watch it closely. He dodges Nitara's strike and then grabs her to steer her directly into the saw. Meanwhile, Goro attacks Cole and his family, and it is emotional pain being the pain that Cole needs to inspire his Arcana as a descendant of Hanzo who lost his family. And you can see that flash briefly in Cole's eyes as Goro is slamming the truck there.
I like that Cole's power is from getting his ass kicked, which is like all he did like the entire movie until the end.
Charging up his armor so that he can deliver the uppercut that his daughter wants, and then he finishes off Goro by cutting off the sand, slash his chest, and stabbing through the eye. Meanwhile, Jack's Arcana gets activated by lifting the boulder off Sonya, fills out
this
his
was weird.
arms into the thick, super strong ones we know and love.
Yeah,
and as Kung Lao's soul gets sucked
I don't
out,
like how he got his arms like that.
Through the Raiden lightning bolt portal
Personally.
into the void. I just love how each bolt forms what kind of looks like the folds of a curtain that drapes in front of them. Just a really cool design choice to show how they're like folding in space to get out of there. So Cole suggests that they split up and confront each champion in a different location, including the pit stage, the recurring stage from the games. This is where Jack faces Reiko. As their fight ends, Reiko kind of
He also does the wobble
roll that fighters always do in the game to set up a fatality, and Jack's fatality is, of course, his skull clap move. That's also a big one from the games. Sonya fights Kano back in the production cost saving location of her home. The dagger gets flung loose, going directly into the target board drawing of Sonya holding Kano's severed head. Maybe this is her response drawing to his graphic novel art that he's always doing. Meanwhile, against Cabal, Liu Kang performs his famous bicycle kick from the games, knocks him into the muck, where he finishes him with his classic Fire Dragon move.
Fatality.
I mean, didn't he typically turn into the dragon rather in most of his more dragon-based ones?
Leaving her spine intact, but also somehow the flesh on our side of the spine is clearly blasted away, like the blast curved around the spine a little bit, and the ribs are torched away, but not the meaty tissue around the spine. Whatever, it looks cool, and Melina's body's just freaking.
Fair enough.
Sub-Zero takes Cole's family, and they fight in this frozen fighting gym, and as Cole's hand bleeds on Hanzo's kunai, it awakens his ancestor.
Get over here.
Yep, you heard that. The instrumentation there just shifted to the 1995 theme song. Guess I did a lot of Yellow Belt karate demos to this. And again, great fight choreography here. Scorpion's sword gets wedged in the ice, and then later he stabs Sub-Zero with the chain blade and drags him into that sword so that he can use the same chain to pick back up the sword. And then Sub-Zero cuts Scorpion, releasing blood and freezing it into a blood sickle dagger, and then stomping an ice wall into existence just to throw Scorpion into something. And then
That's
when
a
Hanzo
move in the
sees
game,
Cole's
too.
frozen family, we intercut with shots of his wife and his son also frozen, past and present combining as Hanzo realizes that his future bloodline is at stake here. So working together with his descendant, Scorpion finishes off Sub-Zero with his famous fatality from the games, removing his mask to breathe fire from his skull mouth. And Hanzo's face actually fully reverts to that skull as he returns to the fires of hell, where, if you listen closely, there's a voice summoning him there. Yes, we are likely hearing the voice of Quan Chi, a sorcerer from the Netherrealm.
I didn't. Again, another like faint voice I didn't hear in this.
The next film. And then in the final scene, you all caught this one. Cole said he is headed to Hollywood in search of a new champion for their team, passing a poster for action movie star Johnny Cage, starring in Citizen Cage, which is a title that he has brought up in some of the games.
Yeah.
I love his cage belt buckle. It expresses a larger-than-life ego, making me think they might cast a pro wrestler in the role. Actually, Ed Boon said that he supported casting wrestler The Miz as Johnny Cage in the next film. Actually, speaking of egomaniacal apparel, this shirt is actually one of our many great merch options that you can support
Think
this
of
channel directly.
another person that came out saying they'd like to play Johnny Cage was Boss Logic. And then Josh Lawson, who plays Kano, recently said he would love for James Marsden to play Johnny Cage. I think that would be a fun casting. I'm a huge fan of James Marsden and James Marsters, both of them. I'd be down for either. I'm not really all that familiar with The Miz or Boss Logic too much, so I don't know how they'd fit in, but it was fine. Yeah, I think I did pretty good. I did overall kind of surprised at how many of those I did catch, at least through 2 watches, to be fair. And I wasn't going through just trying to pause it. So what did I miss? The Cole's collaring on everything other than his wristbands. Like I caught that. That was obvious. It was right in our face. Obviously, the little tie knot that his daughter gave him. Didn't pay attention to his shorts. Didn't pay attention to his backpack. Missed that. Missed the voice calling out to him. I missed the voices at all, like from the abyss, from the Netherrealm. I couldn't hear those in the theater or watching it when I was watching it at home. So missed both of those. I know there was like one or two other ones that I definitely missed. That I'm just not recalling. Like I said, I think this movie did a really good fan servicey job of just being like, dude, we love Mortal Kombat. Let's just shit everything that we can into this. And even the writer of this has commented like he had to hold it back from just inserting so much stuff. They even told him at some point a few times, they were like, dude, this is too much. We need to take some of this out. And he's like, because he's like, there's a bunch of things he's also saving for his other scripts. I mean, he designed this to be 3 movies. He's talked about it. If it gets a sequel, the next one will actually be the tournament. And the third one would be the post-tournament outcome. A couple of things that they did change that I'm still not sold on Cole. He's as being the carrier and the, what's the word I'm looking for? The person that is carrying on the Hasashi bloodline. I gotta say, it's gotta be a little disappointing from Scorpion's point of view. Also, there's a couple times of, obviously, Cole was raised in Chicago, and Scorpion talks to him in Japanese like they understand each other, unless there's some like mental bind thing. Like Cole's gotta have no idea what he's saying. I mean, they've already called that out earlier in the movie that there are language barriers in this, because like when Sub-Zero's talking to Hanzo in the beginning, he's talking to him in Chinese, and Scorpion even responds like, I don't know what you're saying, but I will kill you. And so there's some funny things here and there. The Arcana thing, again, I feel like it's one of those things from Hollywood where they're just like, we don't trust people to just understand that some people in this world have abilities. So we needed to create a mechanic for this world that you would now have to understand to why they get these powers and abilities. Couldn't make it martial energy or body energy, chi, ki, whatever, which is a basic concept of what it is, or even magic, which is a basic concept of the games. Why not? We accept that in Lord of the Rings, Star Wars with the Force and everything else. So it's whatever. So I'm curious to see how Cole's going to play out, because he was a very Johnny Cage-like character. So I'm curious to see how they'll play them off very differently. Of course, their attitudes and their personalities are vastly different. They are very similar in their fighting styles. They are very similar in their setups, being washed up former stars in their right. Him, Johnny Cage being a washed up actor, him being a washed up MMA fighter. They kind of have the, like I said, similar fighting styles. And in the first movie, he was our gateway into the world. He was the audience point per view. So it's just, again, weird to me that they decided to create a character that in a lot of ways just didn't deliver. I'm kind of giving another retread of my review, but everything else I did like. I feel like a lot of the characters kind of got sidelined, but it's whatever. I'm curious to see what they will do if they get this sequel greenlit. I know Joe Taslim, who played Joe Sub-Zero, Joe Taslim, who played Sub-Zero, is already signed on for 4 more films should they develop a sequel after this. So we'll be seeing him come back as Noob Saibot, more than likely. I don't know how, if there is Quan Chi involved, how they will twist that in with the revelations of what happened in this, because they quite clearly, unless the Bihan that we saw in this entire movie was Quan Chi still, Bihan was very much aware of everything he did, unless Quan Chi is the reason that Shang Tsung found out about Hanzo and sent him there and then tricked him. And I don't know, the way they did that and focused in on that, it makes it weird if they did insert Quan Chi out of nowhere. Also, if you read the synopsis for the movie itself, it calls Shang Tsung the Emperor of Outworld, and we saw that Shao Kahn existed as a past champion. So is Shao Kahn not out there anymore? Is our main villain going to stay Shang Tsung? I don't know. I'm curious. Like I said, there's a lot of weird decisions that were made in this. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see where it goes. I'm curious about it. I'm not counting it out. I did enjoy it overall. It was, like I said in my review, leagues beyond anything else we've had since the 95 film. So I mean, we got to give it that, man. It just, like I said, with Cole being in there, it does feel a little like a fanfic, you know, the whole, like, all the Mortal Kombat characters have existed and have always existed get sidelined for this new character the writer created. That's the whole thing to me. So we'll see where it goes. I'm not writing it off, but that's my biggest complaint, really. So yeah, what'd you guys think? How many of these did you catch? Sound off the comments. Let me know your thoughts down below, or carry on the conversation after the video. Huge shout out to Mandy Sherritt, Antoine Rodriguez, and Ryan Karen, our patron legends of the channel. Everybody else who's been joining over there and supporting us and hanging out in the comments, joining the Discord, liking the videos, sharing the videos, and just sharing your overall love for the things that we love to talk about. Thank you guys so much. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care, everybody.